This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah,
It's that new voice, isn't it?
I know,
This
it's
meeting is
really
being
strange.
recorded. So Mary, thank you for dropping in. Anything you want to discuss about your VA or any business-related issue?
I think, to be honest, the first thing I want to say is thank you for what's often known in coaching terms as holding the space. So what you do by having these sessions is you hold a space for us to come. And I would repeat what I said as we started talking. You don't have to have issues to turn up to a session like this. And actually, what's brilliant about it is you're helping people get into the rhythm of having some time to work on themselves, their business, their relationships with their VAs, just taking time out to think. So I absolutely commend you for doing that. I think it's a shame that more people don't turn up, but I understand.
We're early days, Mary. Don't worry. We're early days because I only introduced the drop-in sessions last month. So hopefully...
not worried at all.
Yes.
Never do worry. But I think it's valuable for anybody watching this to think, you know, how much are you taking advantage of help and support that's there for you? And, you know, Cristina, you hold this space. It's once a month for an hour. And I think I would make a strong recommendation to anybody watching this to actually block that time out for yourselves. Block the time out. Own it, claim it, put it in your diary, turn up, because it's not even just sharing about problems. It's nuggets of wisdom. And there's the first one, really. Use the help, take advantage of the help that is offered to you. I don't have any issues. I have a fantastic VA that you got me. You know, he's absolutely brilliant. I've got a meeting with him straight after this. But I'm always looking for what can we learn from other people's experiences as well. So can't really do that if they're not turning up. But that's, you know, that's okay. That's where they are. And it sometimes does take people time to get into a rhythm. So congratulations, you.
Yes, sure. What maybe I can do right now, in proxy of some of my clients who can't join us today, maybe just share, I mean, without going into too much personal and private details, other issues that I was able to help other clients with this whole month.
Great.
I think I've got a client who's looking for an additional VA, and they found a super fantastic VA, super impressive, very what's this? Well, you know, the initial impression was definitely very impressive, and she doesn't show up first day of work. I was mortified. I mean, this is me, this is my business, and the VA that I chose for them, who in their assessment was very, very impressive. I mean, they chose her to then start working for her, and she doesn't show up for the first day. And I was, I mean, to say very disappointed was describing it lightly. I had stronger feelings than disappointment. But you know, sometimes these things they do happen.
Yeah.
As you do your best, you know, you're running your business, do your best. You try to build a brand name, and then the ambassador, so to speak, which are the VAs in my case, they can still disappoint me, which is hopefully not a reflection of how I run my business. But you know,
no, not at all.
Attending these drop-in sessions are as much about how I can improve, and not just like how your VAs can improve the service that they provide to you.
All of us.
So yes, that was one big major setback for me. Very quick turnaround. I had a few more candidates to replace that one candidate. It also, I think it highlighted the fact with the business owner that flashy doesn't always mean dependable in this case. So we actually had another session where we talked about, can we look at your criteria of what you're looking for in a VA? And maybe let's adjust that a bit, because they were looking for someone really flashy and I don't know if the word superior is maybe a word I should use, but in the end, I mean, this was really almost and like a reassessment of what people are looking for, because the words that they used to describe their ideal candidate went from, you know, impressive to, and this is the difference is stark. Literally, the business owner sent me an email to say, now I'm looking for someone who is meek and dependable, which is completely opposite to what they were initially describing the VA should be. So yes, I guess in terms of, you know, reassess exactly what you said, Mary. It's good to like sit down and just look at your business and see if the people who you invite to help, you know, to support your business are in fact helping you to move along to where you want the business to go. And choice of words, choice of description of the VA from stellar and stunning to meek and dependable was a big change. So that was one thing I can share with the group.
Well, that's really interesting because it fits with experiences I've had as well. And for you as a 90-day planning member, if you look inside team and profiling, you'll see that there's 4 different main types of person. And it's interesting because if you, and I'll explain this very briefly, because if anybody watches this, it's going to be incredibly useful to them. And it's a nice recap for us. If you draw a circle, and in fact, let me do that now. You draw a circle. Oh dear, that's a terrible circle, but I've drawn one. And you divide the circle top to bottom. So you divide it top to bottom.
It does look like a circle, Mary, don't worry.
Well, I've done better, but it'll do. Now, where you've got that line across the middle of the circle, above that, right at the top, I'm going to write outgoing, confident, you know, maybe quite loud and fast, fast and loud. So that's at the extreme of the top. Okay, so you can see I've written that there. So outgoing, confident, loud, fast. Those are people who are right up at the top. At the bottom, there is no wrong or right with this. There is just what's most useful, exactly like your clients could have known. If I go to the bottom, I'm going to write reserved, slower paced. Now, it doesn't mean they're slow intellectually. It might even mean that they're much better intellectually, but they're slower paced, they're quieter.
Thorough.
Say that again.
Thorough. They're thorough.
Thorough, absolutely thorough. So what you want is a bookkeeper that's more down here. You want a salesperson that's more out here. So that's the first thing. Now, this is the easiest behavioural profiling system I've ever seen. And I do some that look at 34 scales in 7 different categories. So I know what I'm talking about here. And this simple basic one is the charm. Now you draw a line the other way from top to bottom. And this time we're going to look at on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, they're more task-based. They're more focused on doing the job. On the right-hand side, I'm going to draw a little stick man because on the right-hand side, they're more people-focused. So if you get somebody who is really flashy and really, you know, very impressive, they're probably up here, definitely. Well, they're definitely
right quadrant. Yeah.
And they're going to be more here on the impressing people side. Okay, so that's where they're going to be. Now, actually, you might be able to help me because I do have a new requirement. I have a new requirement. And if you can help me sort this, you're already my hero forever. But you know, you could really
Share
make
it
my
with
life
me
much
then.
easier.
Yeah.
I need a new bookkeeper who is thorough, quiet,
Mhm.
dependable, gets on with the job, and follows the systems. And literally, I have a few simple sheets and systems. We have a regular weekly progress and planning. And I think this is useful for everybody who either is a VA to know where you fit on this, or who wants a VA. What kind of VA do you want? Now, for some other jobs, for marketing, I might want somebody who's a little bit more up here. But for a bookkeeper, I had a bookkeeper once years ago, and she was like let me go out here, let me go networking. This is wonderful. Did she do the work on time? No.
Sounds like a terrible bookkeeper.
Exactly. She was a terrible bookkeeper, but a great bookkeeping business owner. See the difference?
Yes.
So I think this is a really interesting thing to add. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put letters in, because if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly for anybody who's watching.
Is that the disc profile? Oh, there you go.
Spot on.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the disc profile. So the D is the driver, the dominant, the get out there, make it happen. Andy, my partner, very high D, fast-paced, outgoing, task-focused. What are the figures? What are the numbers? What's the, who's doing this? When is it happening? That's him. I'm more the I. We both actually swap between these boxes a lot. I'm more the I. The I person is out there doing things, front of stage, front and center. Hi, let me help you. But they're more the people side. How can we make this happen? How's it going to impact on your team? All that kind of thing. So he pushes me to put deadlines in and figures and numbers, and I push him to be a bit more personal. So we swap between them most of the time. Now, what does the business need? The business also needs S, people who are stable. So the driver, the influencer, the more stable supporter is the person who makes sure that the team are okay, but is quieter behind the scenes. They won't want to go and suddenly present at a networking meeting. They really will be more comfortable behind the scenes, but they will do a fantastic job behind the scenes. And the C trait is the conscientious, compliant. Now, these words are not mutually exclusive, because we will be all of these things.
I know.
But the
because I find myself to be an S, but as a business owner, I still need to be the one out there fronting the business, dealing with clients, customers, and I don't do it so much these days, but like putting content of myself out there.
And that's brilliant, because a business owner needs to be a chameleon, and they need to understand that they need different types of people in the business. And you've got access to resources on this and how to deal with people. I have to, when I'm dealing with somebody like this, I have to slow down and talk about the actual steps. They want the steps, they want the detail. If I say, give me a report, Ahmad, our VA, will go into detail mode and say, do you want a column for this? Do you want a column for that? Do you want me to total those columns? Do you want me to give you the numbers on a monthly basis? So he's flexible, he'll do that. Then he'll go, oh, marketing, let's put something together. Let's make it look attractive. Let's make people look at it and want to read it. So he will move, and then he'll say, Mary, you haven't replied to me on so-and-so. So he'll move into this. And that's the ideal person for a business owner, is going to be a chameleon and move through all of those areas. And I think I'm glad we've recorded this, because it's like a nice little training bit for your members, your clients.
And also like a reminder for me, what you've been teaching me before as well, and in terms of profiling people. The funny thing is, perhaps about 80% of my clients, they're looking for VAs in the C bracket, because they just want VAs to look after the low value repetitive background tasks. And it's not always bookkeeping, by the way. It's just like the data scraping, the data entry, creating mailing lists, creating doing online research and due diligence for crunching numbers, because that's property, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's like numbers. You're just crunching numbers and making sure. I don't know. I mean, what are the numbers that we crunch? Yield, ROI, wash its face, cash flow, comparables. So it's very much the C profile. But yes, on occasion, I do have clients that look for. I don't think it's not so much the people side, maybe the D's and the C's. Yes. I have
Yeah.
very, very few clients who need outgoing people. They won't use that, they won't use VAs for those types of roles, generally speaking.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And what's interesting is, to the business owner who's usually very out there, very doing things, they've got the big picture. Ahmad does a lot of stuff for me that's high detail. And I'm so grateful to him for doing that, because it might, I think you used the words low value somewhere there, but it's importance, but it's not a job that the business owner should
Oh, I
be
see.
doing.
I wish I could find a different phrase or word for it, but I've always used low value, but I should really quantify what that means, because it's like you
Yeah,
said, it's not low value like maybe low intellect or low value to the business even, because it is providing
that's
such
right.
massive
Yeah,
value. I think this is what I have difficulty with, because this is what I keep advertising, right? You should be delegating low value, repetitive, time consuming tasks, but they're actually not low value. I just don't
yeah.
know a different word to call it.
Good,
Because okay,
good.
why do I say low value? um it has to do a little bit with the um what's the term, like the the judgment calls that is required. For example, finding property deals. I'm a my business is the
That's
property
it.
VA, so I deal a lot with property related issues. Finding property deals. I often get asked incorrectly, can you find me VAs who can find me property deals? Which is such a loaded question, because actually finding property deals is like a spectrum of tasks,
Yeah, yeah.
from the low value to the really, really high value that even the business owner won't be able to take over. Like, he will, at that point, he will need to employ professionals in his team, like mortgage brokers, planning consultants, architects. The property investors somewhere in the spectrum that's close to the high end, but not quite the high end, unless himself he is a solicitor, architect, and financial advisor all in one, which most likely he's not. I haven't met an architect who was also a solicitor who's also a mortgage broker, for example. But yes,
Well,
the VAs tend to be in this lower end when finding property deals, because
I,
finding property deals involves from, from the lower end, you have all the time consuming data scraping, data crawling activities that you need to do to find a deal.
yeah,
And yet,
and it's interesting because a business is like a machine. It's like a well-oiled machine, and there are big cogs and there are small cogs. Now, something I learned many years ago was, in a business, and it's a holistic little bubble. It's a whole world on its own. And what happens is, we can't be good at everything. We can be better at some things and not so good at others. So this is where you cover I won't call them weaknesses, I'll call them constraints. Because I used to do a lot of
I like the
constraints
word.
coaching, and constraints coaching is around what's holding you back. Now, when I first set up my business, one of my big constraints was financials. And the reason it was a constraint was because I was making plenty of money. I didn't really need to pay attention to it. There was way more coming in than needed to ever go out. So I incorrectly thought, I don't need to pay attention to that. I'll leave it to the accountant. Now, my constraint that was holding me and the business back was I was not paying attention to the financials. What happened then was later, when I started to have some financial challenges, I hadn't learned how to manage the money. Now, this is the story that one of my coaches said to me years ago. This is like the lottery winners. They need coaching on how to manage money because they've never had to manage money or they've never learned to manage it. So what happens, this is most people. So what happens is they win the lottery, they go, woohoo, fantastic. And they spend. And in a few years, they've got no money left because they haven't learned how to use the money to give them a consistent income over time. Now, property investors are great because property investors have got one eye on, I want to build a recurring, improving, increasing income. Fantastic. Learn how to manage your money when it's small, because when it gets big, it's a bit late then to manage it. So I think when this comes back to the tasks, the business has this bubble of all these different tasks, and you have to find out where your strengths are. I don't want to be.
Okay, yeah, we lost your audio there for a second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have to look at our constraints. What holds us back? What are we not so good at? And get somebody to cover them. So this is where Andy and I will switch between those two top boxes of D and I. Where Andy's being a bit blunt, I'll say, you need to soften this a bit. And where I'm being nice and, get everybody on board and whatever, he'll say, you need to toughen up a bit and get some numbers in next to this. So that's where you cover each other's back in business. And you do this with team, you do it with outsourced people. I don't want to sit trawling the numbers of who's asked for which download and whether they've had them or not. So thank goodness Ahmad does that for me. He says, here's the resources document. These are the separate resources we've got. This is who's asked for them and when, and they've all had them and they're in our database. And I'm like, great. So this is back to the value thing. It is huge value to me as a business owner for him to do that. But it's not the best use of my time if I can go out and get more clients and do more stuff inside the business, So it's about what level you're working at. And this thing I said about it being a big machine, if you take a big cog out, you're going to notice it. It's not going to work. Put that big cog back in and take a small cog out. Still not going to work. So if you think of that as the value per hour, the cog is the value per hour. If somebody is doing, X pound an hour, Y pounds an hour, Z pounds an hour, you have to look at the value of what they can bring in. So solicitors and architects are good examples. What amount of money, and property investors, what money, what value, what deals can they bring in to increase the income? And then when we get the income, and we spread it around to make sure everybody gets paid and the money's reinvested into the business and some is taken out as profit and tax and goodness knows what else. But it's, have the right people on the bus and the right people in the right places on the bus, because you don't want somebody on a provisional license driving a 40-seater bus or a 70-seater bus. You want a qualified driver for that. So, now my situation, I would like a really steady, really reliable bookkeeper who will have a call with me once or twice a month, go through my spreadsheet with me, which has the financial checklist that we use and we give away to anybody. He goes through that with me, and we literally will have everything done in less than an hour. Now, he's obviously doing bookkeeping, filing, updating Xero. I'm forwarding invoices to him. I'm paying invoices and I'll give him bank statements each month. So we work together. And I want somebody who's going to reliably and accurately do that. They don't have to be outgoing, but can you see how all of this shapes our whole approach to recruitment? I sat down and started making notes about the kind of person that I wanted and the things that I needed them to do. So I've put goal, recruit new bookkeeper. And then I've got various documents that we use to share information between us. The progress and planning I talked about before, simple 4-question sheet, monthly management information that goes through everything we do each month, everything we do throughout the year. We just go to the month that we're in, and that's it. We've got shared files on Dropbox and Google Drive. We've got property accounts. There are members of the team that they need to know about and interact with. So this is, again, a tip for anybody who's thinking of recruiting. Are you thinking of these things before, as well as the kind of person? Because I'm putting 3 headings, and we've talked about this before. What do I want in terms of the knowledge, the skills, and the attitude? Knowledge, skills, and attitude, or you can turn it around and call it ASK, attitude, skills, and knowledge. They must have the right attitude to work with me, to be open and honest, and they have to want to do a good, thorough job. The skills, 0, Dropbox files, spreadsheets, and that the skills and the knowledge, and that comes back to where I'm looking for that. But I hope this is helpful to other people who are thinking types of people on the disc wheel. And for me, it's very much slow, steady, thorough, get on with the job, deliver each week, consistent, reliable, that kind of thing. We all make mistakes.
I know,
the VA, the VA who didn't turn up on the day, I was thinking, I feel your pain. But at the same time, I'm thinking, did something terrible happen, or was that indicative of the type of person they'd gone for?
I think it's more the latter, indicative of the type of person. Well, essentially, we can never know for sure, but I think what's happened was she wasn't being very honest about her current availability. It was a full-time role, and she's likely, although she didn't declare that with me, already working for another company or business owner. And then she probably just couldn't be bothered. And she saw the training that she needed to complete. That was the final assessment of what this, the thinking that this person had, that she just didn't show up on the first day.
Brilliant. And that is actually making me right on my requirement. In terms of the attitude, it's about values, it's about communication. One of the things we have is our number 1 rule in our business and our lives is open and honest communication. If somebody's happy, not happy, struggling, be honest, be open and honest about it. Because if I know what's happening, I can deal with it. I can help, I can support. If I don't know and somebody keeps it to themselves, that's where it gets really unhelpful, because you can have resentment building up or whatever. But when you're open and honest, I've got too much work on, or, this, I don't really understand how to do this. Fine, that's simple. That's a training issue. Or let me help you manage your time, whatever or I've got too many distractions at home. Great. How can I help you look at what the distractions are so that we can minimize them? How can I help you explain to the people around you that you're working? So many people working from home now, and you've got to educate everyone around you, your family, your friends. Don't just knock on the door because I'm working from home, So those are things that many of us have been through before, but we may have to help educate our team, our VAs.
True. So I think I learned from you a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, about how to be very clear on your values, because everyone who works with you needs to not only just understand those values, but also uphold them, especially if they represent your business. Yes. And actually, when I train the VAs through my masterclass sessions, I've only done it live once, and then everything is kind of recorded. So people who want to join, or VAs who want to join, they just watch the recording. My first lesson, because of what you taught me, Mary, my first lesson was that they need to know what my values are, and they need to uphold that, because because exactly these things happen wherein their values don't match your values, but it's still your business on the line. And yeah, I was, uh, like I said, disappointed was, you know, um, not the strongest word I can share with you here today, but yeah,
But
that's what happened.
how much better to find out on day one than on
That
day
is true, though. That
31
is super
or
true.
101? You know, and I think there's an alignment that happens, isn't there, in business? And
I
if
like that
somebody,
word. Mm.
if somebody doesn't feel that they're getting what they want from a VA, or a VA doesn't feel that they're getting what they want from the person who's hiring them, or who they're working for and delivering for, if there's a misalignment, for me, it's always go back to stage one and look at how aligned are you, because I don't want a book want to get paid, show up, do the work, be thanked for it, be appreciated for it, because again, it's, you know, too many business owners do their own bookkeeping. Why on earth would you do that? Because you can outsource it to somebody for a certain fee, you know, but then what you can do is you can get on with doing things that are going to bring more money and more success into the business for everybody. Back to the cogs, you know, right people on the bus, right people, mixing all my metaphors here, right people on the bus, but sitting in the right seats. You know, I don't want my bookkeeper sitting on the side of the bus that's waving a flag saying, hey, come and work with us. I want them sitting there quietly, just getting on with it and going, thank you very much, I've done it. Bye, I'm out of here for the rest of my life now. I'm doing, you know, things with my family, my friends, and then I'm back again, you know, another day to do the do and then go away. And when they're doing the do, I want them focused on that, and I value that. So it is interesting. And I think, you know, one of our values as well is our gratitude. So we appreciate people, you know, we'll say thank you. And, you know, Ahmad said to me the other day, I said thank you for something, and he said, yeah, no problem, I'm just doing my job. And I go, I know, but I'm catching you doing it really well, you know. And that makes him full of pride, because exactly like you say, every person in the business is an ambassador for that job. And if you're not caring for them and supporting them in the right way, if you're not living your values, it's soon going to show up. And too many business owners don't even have a clue of what their values are. And they're often, I think I'm going to be controversial now. Some people want a VA to do something. Excuse the background noise.
It sounds like a very provincial. Was that a bus?
I tell you what it is. It's a village up the side of a mountain in Malaga in Spain. It's absolutely fantastic. And we have a bread man and a fish man. So you don't even have to go to the shops. They will drive around and they'll park up the van. And in a minute, you might hear him shout. If it's the fish man, he'll be shouting, mariscos, mariscos.
Oh my God.
You know,
okay. Goals. I have to move to Spain. I'd like that. Fantastic. I mean, fresh bread, fresh food, you know.
I know. It's great. He opens the back of the van. There's all the stuff. You pick what you want. And in some cases, people have regular orders. Mariscos.
Yes. Regular. Mary, sorry. Do you think we can go back to appreciate your VA thought? Because I actually want to ask you how, because I don't think my clients appreciate their VAs enough. I'm sure a lot do, but maybe not more of a conscious effort. Some people have just, you know, that's they're just generally grateful, so they'll say it without thinking. Hey, great stuff, thank you, right? But also, how do I make it such that it's more intentional, that they give, is it like they need to give regular feedback to their VAs? I do encourage them to do team huddles every week. There's always the LBs and NTs, which is like best and next times, which is really, really fantastic way of communicating with your VA. You know, that what's the term? That takes into consideration as well cultural communication styles, right? Because Filipinas are very much meek, and I don't know about Ahmad. I think Ahmad's quite an exception, but mostly Filipinos are very meek and shy and asking for feedback or help, or you know that the generally the personalities that you think comes automatically for most Westerners.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because yes, he was at the beginning. He was very, I don't like to say anything, and just let me, and very humble and very. And then I started noticing some of his skills and talents, and I'm like, wow, that's great. I want to use that, and I want you to use my skills to help you. And he was great. So it's been a steady, slow process, but I'm happy and proud to say that I'm helping him get more confidence in himself and be able to stand his ground is not the right phrase, but that's the be him and know his value, I think is probably a better way of putting it. But I think appreciation is really important. One of the things, my mum was an Irish Catholic woman from a farm down in the south of Ireland in Cork. And manners were the number one thing. You could be ignorant, you could be thick, you could be, not very bright at all. But if you had manners, that's fine. And I was brought up with treat people right and mind your manners, mind your P's and Q's, thank you, please. Those things go a long way. And interestingly, one of the things that I've done over the years with the team is said, we'll do little things about what do you like about so-and-so. And it's like a party game. And if you do it in person or on Zoom, it's really quite fun, because you can start in the chat, what I like about Jack on our team is this, 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 this. And we're consciously looking for the good things to praise each other. In fact, I'm going to do this on our next team meeting. What do I like about? What do I value or respect about? And it also helps the business owner if the VA is a little bit off their game, because they are from time to time. We're all human. We're off our game from time to time. So what I will do is sometimes I'll say, hey, listen, I might have been really short last week, but it was a full-on week. You knew I'd got a lot on, so I was a bit short. It's not my normal style. So thanks for putting up with me, but I'm back, I'm back as Mary kind of thing. And they laugh and they say, no, it's fine. If they've made a mistake and I pick them up on it, I'm always good at balancing that. That's the LBs and NTs training. Well, I love
like the
this.
LBs and NTs. Yeah.
It's what?
I said I love the LBs and NTs. One of my favorite tools.
Do you know, they are one of the simplest things. And I really wish I could remember the name of who taught it to us. I don't know who it was. It was just in the midst of Action Coach.
Just for the benefit of people watching the replay, LBs, NTs. LB stands for like best and NT stands for next time. And it's not NTs and LBs, it's LBs and NTs, because you it's always good to start with what you like best. This can be of like best of a person, like best of an event that happened or a situation that occurred, or just like general things. So it's a framework or a guideline to how to discuss with your team, what you want everyone to keep doing and continue doing, and what people should and to identify what people should be doing better next time. So LBs and NTs, that's what that stands for.
And do you know, it's also good for self-critique, because I know too many people who beat themselves up. They beat themselves up. And when you do advanced LBs and NTs, I mean, it's a simple process. but when you do advanced LBs and NTs, you say, right, I want 10 LBs to every NT. But the NTs always must be something you can do. It's not, that was terrible, or you messed that up. Never, ever that. NT, next time to make it even better, you know, that sort of thing. So
I think
LBs and NTs.
the very fact that you're saying next time, you can't just say next time that was terrible. Do you know, like you actually really have, it forces you to think, well, what do I want to happen next time? Right. So it's almost like, you know, when they corral sheep and cows through a gate, it almost constricts what you have to say next. Right.
It
You
does.
can't just be like very generic about what to say next time. You always have to say, next time I want this and that. So it almost forces you anyhow to be very specific about what you want to happen next time.
Yes, definitely. And it's just, it's so simple. It's so simple and it's so good and it's really powerful. And it empowers people, it builds them up, it makes them stronger. Ahmad is worth far more to me as a VA now than he ever was at the beginning, because I've invested the time with him. We've worked together on things. And, you know, Andy said to me yesterday, how often do you have meetings with the team? And I said, well, with most of the team, it's once a week. With the bookkeeper, it's twice a month. It's actually getting to once a month now because it's so streamlined and so straightforward. They just want to get on with the job and report the figures to me once a month. It's fine, you know, that's good. But I think, again, it comes back to this. I've had business, and you can see, by the way, everybody else, I make lots of notes on these things. I'm always picking up notes and ideas and reinforcing things and thinking, where can I apply this? So I hope watchers are doing that too. But when you look at this, I have had high D business owners. Now, this is what you're doing. It's not who you are. If you're doing high D, you might be more transactional with your VA. You might be, and we've got our VA because he worked with somebody else before who was too transactional. Didn't say thank you, was just like, here's your work, have you done it? Great, okay. Well, it didn't even say great, it's like, have you got it? Right, here's the next thing. And there was no relationship at all. It was all on the task side. I'm on all sides. I know what the business needs. And our VA appreciates a bit of people contact, a bit of personal interaction, a bit of, oh, you're human as well. You know, something happened and there was a time where he was really tired. He'd got a lot of stuff going on and, you know, this happens. And he said, I missed doing so-and-so because I fell asleep. And I said, yeah, but what time was that? And he said, 11 o'clock at night. I said, well, I don't want you working at 11 o'clock at night. You know, bless you for your commitment. And I love you for it, but I don't want you working at that. So let's have a look at what's going on and see how we can restructure it. And he was expecting to be told off because his background was, you know,
very much
you've done this. And if you are transactional, you don't feel as valued as if you are. That's a great, I mean, I sent him a message this morning because he did something. I've got a 4-page members engagement plan. So how to get the most out of your membership. And I sent it to him. And the first version, we usually go through a couple of iterations. First version was okay. It was a better version than mine. It looked a bit more appealing, but I went, you've done better than this in the past. I've seen you do things that look really attractive. And he went, okay, I'm on it. He went off, came back with something. And I went, that's wow, you know, great. So Kirsty asked for it after last week's email. So I've sent it to her. So we'll see what the reaction is. But, you know, it's appreciation and appreciating somebody doing what they do. It's like a forgotten skill. You know, somebody serves you in a bar or a restaurant, make eye contact with them, thank them. You know, they're helping you to have a great night. Your event, if you're running events, your event host, they help you have a great event. Talk to them, be human. So I think about where you sit on that circle, what your strongest, what the thing you're drawn to most strongly. I mean, for me, I'm drawn to this, but I have to get practical and down and get the stuff done. I also have to really move into D sometimes. So there will be a place where you feel most at home, but be conscious of who you're dealing with and make sure that you appeal to them as well. So that would be my guidance there.
Mary, thank you. I mean, you brought it full circle from speaking about the disc profiling back to appreciation and then back to the disc profiling. So you connected all those three topics together. So thank you for that. Mary, we'll be ending this session soon because I know you have another session as well. Do you want to share with the group your 90-day planning business? Because you provided so much value today sharing with me, not just like VA related stuff, but also just business in general.
I'm always happy to share. I run a business called 90-Day Planning. And on Facebook, I've got 2 separate groups for that. 90-day planning, no spaces, 90-day planning. If you put free after that, you'll search for a group, not the page. Go to the 90-day planning free group and you can join there free. I put a Friday focus up each week that sort of walks through different areas of business. I've got lots of giveaways. And yeah, go to 90-day planning free group and sign up. And I'd love to help you and give you access to some of the stuff. Christina's in the membership. We obviously work a lot more closely with our members and we only open the membership each quarter. But there is a 1-page plan that you can get that you can start planning now for your next quarter on 1 page. You can start thinking, what am I going to get done in the next quarter? So let's see you in the 90-day planning free group.
Great. Thank you so much, Mary. And thank you again for joining me here today.
Thank you. Always useful, always more insights or learning something at a deeper level, which is what makes the difference. So thank you, Cristina.